In May 2025, my wife and I spent 2 weeks in Andalusia, a large region covering the south of Spain. We went with the goal of seeing the very best that it has to offer, from major cities to small towns and villages, beaches and mountains. In this video, I'm going to share that journey with you and show you why Andalusia is one of the most vibrant places, not just of Spain, but in the entire world. So come, join me on an adventure. We started our first day in Malaga by taking a bus to the city centre, where we made a stop in a pastry shop to get breakfast. Now, I'm not much of a food critic, but this Spanish cheesecake was excellent and got a thumbs up from me. My wife decided to get a pianono, a syrupy cylindrical pastry which is a local Andalusian speciality. After eating, our next stop was at the Mercado Central, a large indoor market with a variety of fresh fruit and vegetables, meat, fish, cheese and other goods. Most cities we visited on a trip had a similar indoor market. However, the one in Malaga was my favourite thanks to the interesting design of the building with stained glass windows. Coming out of the market, we went for a walk around the historical city centre, which has an impressive, almost imperial feel to it thanks to its large buildings and various shades of red and yellow. We had originally planned to visit the cathedral next, however it was closed due to a wedding, and instead we decided to visit the Alcazaba, an 11th century Islamic fortress on a hill overlooking the city. Coming out of the Alcazaba, we made our way past a Roman theatre and up to the castle of Gibraltar on a high point to the east of the city. The hike took about 20 minutes, however it's quite steep, so I'd only recommend doing it if you have a lot of energy. However, we were rewarded with magnificent views, including of the bullfighting arena and out across the bay. Making our way back down the hill, we stopped by the cathedral, which was now open. In the evening, we went to relax on the beach, and that was the end of day 1 in Malaga. Day 2 started bright and early with a tour to the small town of Ronda in the morning and the village of Sentil de las Bodegas in the afternoon. In Ronda, we spent our time wandering the city, bumping into unexpected religious processions, eating some of the best food of our trip, and viewing from various different spots the famous bridge, which is so iconic that it's used as a screensaver on Microsoft PCs. Sentil de las Bodegas is one of the so-called white villages of Andalusia and is famous for its buildings built into the cliff face. Overall, we really enjoyed our time in both Ronda and Sentil. The tour company offered both a guided walking tour version and a free time version. I've included a link in the description as well as a QR code on screen in case anyone is thinking of doing this trip. So I wanted to show you all our apartment in Granada, as it was the nicest place we stayed at throughout our trip, and funnily enough, also the cheapest. After settling in, we went for a walk around the city. In the evening, we had booked a flamenco show at the Tablao Flamenco Casa Ana, which is one of the many excellent flamenco theatres in Granada. However, we still had a couple of hours before the start of the show, so we decided to walk up the hill and have dinner there.
Well, I'm going to try a Spanish snail. The sauce is very different to the sauce you get in France.
Tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce, and it's a little bit spicy, so give it a go. It's very good. The sauce kind of hides the fact that you're eating snail. You sort of taste the sauce more than the snail, which is probably the way it should be.
Hello everyone, so I'm going to show you one of the best viewpoints in the city of Granada. It's the Mirador of St. Nicholas. So let's go and I'll show the view. If you come to Granada, the main attraction, of course, is the Alhambra, a 13th century Islamic fortress and palace located on the Subica hill overlooking the city. The entrance ticket gives you access to the entirety of the complex, including all the palaces, courtyards and gardens. Having said that, I would strongly advise that you book early if you're planning a visit, as tickets can be sold out a couple of months in advance during summer. final day in Granada, we decided to climb Sacromonte, a large hill on the west of the city with breathtaking views of the Alhambra. However, the main attraction in Sacromonte are the houses built right into the rock face. Originally caves, several have been turned into museums detailing the lives of their former inhabitants. It was really interesting to see how people lived, worked, and prepared food back then. It's also worth mentioning that it was mostly, though not exclusively, gypsies who lived here, and they were responsible for developing new styles of flamenco. The next stop on our tour was Cordoba, famous for its mezquita, an 8th century mosque converted into a cathedral, as well as a Roman bridge and numerous courtyards full of vibrant flowers.
Hello everyone, let me show you where we're staying. It's an interesting vibe to it. It looks like almost a former monastery or something. I'll take you down the stairs. There's a statue here and a patio.
After settling into the room, we went for a walk around the city. If I were to compare Cordoba and Granada, I would say that for me the buildings in Granada were more impressive. However, where Cordoba really shone through was the variety of flowers and plants in its courtyards. Although we were pretty tired by this point, we made it to the Palacio de Viana, a 15th century noble's palace. Now there are two different tickets you can get, one covering just the gardens and another including a 40-minute guided tour of the palace itself in Spanish. We went for the one with the tour. Unfortunately filming wasn't allowed, but the palace itself was very nice. The only thing I would say is that since it's only in Spanish, if you don't speak the language, it might be better to stick to just the gardens. We started our second day in Cordoba by walking to the Roman bridge. On our way, we passed a street called Street of the Flowers, which makes a good spot for taking Instagram photos if that's your thing. On the south side of the bridge, you'll find the 14th century Tower of Calahorra, which has a nice museum inside with little figurines and sculptures. Coming out of the tower, we walked back along the bridge to the Mezquita. The site where the Mezquita stands has been used as a place of prayer going back millennia, supposedly all the way back to Roman times. Now, the current building, however, was originally built as a mosque, with construction starting in the 8th century and finishing in the 10th, making it over 1,000 years old. These days, however, it's a functioning church and services are still held there. Now, right next to the Mezquita, you'll find the Palacio de los Reyes Cristianos, the main highlight of which is its garden. On our way back to the apartment, we bumped into a religious procession similar to the one in Ronda. Now, you may not believe it, but these flowers are actually made of Lego. We were lucky to be in Cordoba during a festival, the Festival of the Patios, where several courtyards are open with artistic and musical displays. These flowers, however, were real, were part of a rival courtyard's display. In the evening, we went back to the Roman bridge to catch a free flamenco concert. Seville is the largest city in Andalusia region and one of the largest in Spain. To my mind, it felt more European somehow than some of the other places we visited, particularly in Granada and Cordoba. In general, you'll find in the city centre fewer traditional Spanish tapas bars, more wide open squares and restaurants in a traditional European manner. In the city centre, you'll find the setas de Seville, aka the mushrooms of Seville, so called because they supposedly resemble a mushroom, although in my opinion they look more like a giant bee's hive. For a small entrance fee, you can take a lift up to the top. Hello everyone, so I decided to climb this structure. It's called Setas de Seville. It's like a giant bee's hive or something. I don't know if you can see behind me, sort of like cone-like shapes. But yeah, it looks like it'll have a really good view, so I'm going to try and climb to the top and then I will show you the view from up there. Our next stop was the Plaza de España, built in 1928 for a joint exhibition between Spain and South America. It's a wonder of modern architecture, featuring colourful mosaics from all the different regions of Spain. For just €6, you can rent a boat and get a view of the square from the water. Right next to the Plaza de España, you'll find a large park, which makes a nice place to relax or have a picnic. If you're lucky, you may even catch a free concert. On the next day, we made it to the cathedral, one of Seville's 3 UNESCO World Heritage sites. Our next stop was the Real Alcazar, also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Originally an Islamic citadel, it was progressively rebuilt over the centuries following the Spanish reconquest. It has been used in the set of numerous films, including Lawrence of Arabia and Game of Thrones. And in general, with its mixture of European and Arabic architecture, beaches and mountains, Andalusia makes an excellent filming location. And besides those two, numerous other films have been shot there, including Cleopatra, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and the James Bond film Die Another Day. Seville was the longest day of our trip, and we found ourselves with a spare day at the end, so we decided to visit the Roman ruin of Italica just outside the city. Talca was a major Roman centre of power in Spain, with two emperors, Trajan and Hadrian, having been born there. You can find the remains of various structures, such as latrines, bathhouses, living and meeting spaces. However, the best preserved is the amphitheatre. Apparently the hole in the middle was used for keeping wild animals, which would be released during the show. Back in Seville, our final stop was the Museum of Fine Art, which is located in an impressive 16th century building. Entrance is free, so if, like me, you're not a massive art nerd, I'd still recommend it if you've got the time. Of all the artworks, my favourite was a special exhibition of photographs showing famous buildings in Andalusia, many of which we'd seen on our trip already. The next stop on our trip was the town of Jerez, famous for its horses and its sherry, a local fortified wine. Now, we didn't have a chance to try their sherry, however, we did make it for the Festival of the Horse, an annual celebration of the equestrian arts. There wasn't a lot of information about it online. I think we might have arrived a bit early, so there was a sense that everything was only just getting started. Nevertheless, it was interesting to see everyone dressed up and riding around town. If you make it to Jerez, the main attraction is the Royal Equestrian School, offering shows the year round, not just during the festival. We both really enjoyed the show and recommend it to anyone who has the opportunity to visit. By the time we got to our final destination of Cadiz, we were thoroughly worn out from all the walking around and visiting cultural sites. However, Cadiz has some excellent beaches, honestly much better than the ones in Malaga. Now, the city of Cadiz is actually considered one of the oldest continually inhabited cities in Western Europe, having been founded by Phoenicians about 3,000 years ago. However, despite its antiquity, most of the buildings date from the last 500 years, as Cadiz enjoyed a period of development as a major port city following the discovery of the Americas. Cool things to do in Cadiz include going to the beach, exploring all the narrow alleyways and squares, visiting the cathedral, the market and the Roman theatre, walking along the historical city walls, and relaxing in one of its vibrant parks. We've got some scallops here, if I'm going to try. It's
good. It's good.
Fresh.
Very fresh, yeah.
Thank you for watching to the end of my video on Andalusia. If you've made it this far, please consider giving my video a thumbs up and subscribing, as that will help me produce more videos like this in the future. If you are yourself planning a trip to the south of Spain and have any questions about itineraries, transport or anything else, feel free to write in the comments and I will try to respond. Otherwise, all the best and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.